I am waiting for your questions. So I'll put the chat aside because it's gonna record my whole screen and will show the chat box as well. If you are dialing in, if you click *6, you will be able to unmute yourself because this is a Q&A kind of thing in join.me that I'm using. If you want to ask your question, you can go right ahead and do that through there as well. You can also click on the chat bubble. When you hover on your screen, you'll see there's a chat bubble on top, and I'll be going through user questions. So just let me know if you have anything you want to build. Sorry, I can hear some feedback from someone who dialed in. Would you like to ask anything yet? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hi.
Oh, okay, I can hear two people, so hi. Hello?
Yeah, I have a question regarding the users.
Sure. So someone has a question about users?
We have the company database system, but we wanted to implement something more efficient and not creating too much of the budget on the IT team. So that's why I was looking at the review, and Ragic seems to be pretty self-explanatory type of database.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is that we're in the service industry, so survey type of user is not going to be feasible. But then we have a lot of contractors where they need to see a lot of different information. They have to edit a lot of different information by other users. Would that be a possible option, or is that something that the external user doesn't have that option?
Okay, so I know the user structure might sound a little bit confusing at first, but in your case, your users, you said, were probably need the rights to edit a lot of information, you said, right? So in that case, they are probably going to need to be internal users, and the largest separation between external and internal users is that external users can't really edit a lot of things, so you can't give them as much rights as you can in internal users. The reason for that is usually the external users are supposed to be used as by partners or vendors for your company, whereas internal users can have a few different levels of access rights, so you can have more control over what they see and see what they edit. So I guess I can show you a table that shows our user access rights. So I hope I'm not going too fast. Alright, scroll a little down here.
I saw the access user rights. The problem that I have is that when our company creates generates the sales lead, then contractors need to, well, obviously our employee generates the contract lead.
Okay.
But then contractors, external users, needs to see that even though getting created, and should be able to update that. Would that be possible?
Possibly. So if you already have an entry that your internal users create, and then the contractor is an external user, then you can probably have the external user assigned to that entry. So assigning an entry kind of gives a little more rights to the user. So it works differently for external and internal users. For external users, you can actually I think have a bulletin user rate being set. So if as it's said over here, if the access rates for your sheet is set to bulletin user, when you assign a contractor, as the selected user. So this happens when you set a select user field. So that's a special type of field that you can use. And when you pick the contractor from that list of people, underneath the select user option, then they'll be assigned as the owner of the entry. So if the initial setting is bulletin user, they can edit the entry afterwards. So it's kind of like giving probably admin rights to that entry.
Okay.
Does that
So
help?
both the user can actually, yeah, just I just wanted to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
Both the user can still able to add the new ticket if they get it from their end to our data server and also edit.
Let's think. So if a bulletin user adds a new, yeah, if they create their own entry, then they are already an owner of the entry. So, but if another person is creating that entry, they can assign another person to be an owner as well. So notifications will also go both ways.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Any other questions?
That's it for now.
All right. So, yeah, I don't think I can demonstrate because it's a bit hard to do this with one monitor, but if you ever have any problems with user assignments, just let us know, and I'd be happy to help. Yeah, otherwise, actually, I would put this in the roster for next time to show some user assignments and how they see the screen. So that's a good idea.
Oh, I have another question, basically, by the way.
Yes.
Like, we're in the service industry where the technicians needs to see the service bulletins or manuals. Um, is there any function that one type of database contains the attachment of a lot of different PDF files,
Mm-hmm.
and by validating the model code for the first four digits of the model code, then it can automatically make a link to the service ticket. Would that be possible?
So yeah, if they are internal users, you can have them set the email notifications to receive any modifications. So we do have, I don't think I have a test sheet here. Let me just create one. So okay, so I'm currently the only user in this database, so I'll just create a basic form. But you can see that under tools, I do have my
Mm-hmm.
own notification settings. So the default is usually when someone updates a record, Ragic will email me, which is a lot of emails if you have a lot of
Yeah.
users. But this is actually a preferred setting because when something related to me, for example, if I created something, or if I am assigned to a task or something, then when somebody modifies it and saves it, I will get a notification. But it's also possible to use this, email me when a new record is created, which is kind of like if, for example, you were having announcements, and then you can just use this to kind of send the announcement to everyone.
Basically, the function that I was looking for is that the if there is any coding or the function where first four digits of the service model number on that particular service ticket, then it can automatically link that to the both service codes and database. So I guess that is not possible.
I don't think I understand your question very well. Do you want to maybe give them a little bit of example? So I think you have a service ID and Okay, under that there are some tasks that people do, and you want to add that to what?
Yeah, so on the service ID,
Mm-hmm.
there's a customer information, let's say refrigerator. Then, there's a model number of the refrigerator, which is like 10, 15 digits, right?
All right.
But then if first, let's say first 5 digits are equal to or containing, compared to the other the model database, if five of them is equal to, so let's say 5 digits plus the wildcard, um, it matches on the database, then database contains the service manual and service bulletin. So would that be possible to link that automatically to the service order page?
Hmm. Okay, I think what I understand. So let's try building something similar. So let me just edit this sheet, and let's say that this was a service ID or service order, okay? With the service ID number, description, and there are manuals and there are
So it's got to be
manuals and
model number.
another the model and manual associated in another sheet, right?
Right, right.
Okay, so the way we can do this is, since this is the service order sheet and you want the models that you already probably have in your archive or something, somewhere
Right.
else, models that you guys fix. So model number and manual, um, user manual and repair manual, because those are different, right?
Right, right.
And there are PDF files that are attached, so it's an upload field. Uh, so you would like to be able to see that on the other. So let's say this is a fridge called RX345. Let's
Mm-hmm.
see, did I not change this? No, it's an upload file. Okay. So let's say we have PDF files uploaded here. I don't really have, well, I have bills here, but I'll just upload that here just to
Okay.
show you how it looks like. So this is my models page, and I would probably have like thousands of like fridges or ovens over here. And
Right.
on the service order, I can change the design to link it to my model sheet. So the reason I'm going to use link and load for this is I want to be able to enter a model and select
Mm-hmm.
from what I already have. So I'm gonna do this
Okay.
with link and load. I'm selecting models over here, and the model number would be here, and let's link the user manual and repair manual here, um, so that it will show up um, when we select a model. So let's say I'm creating a new service order, and it's number 1, description, fridge broken, uh, probably wire. Okay, and when I
Mm-hmm.
type here, well, I double clicked, and I can see my models underneath here from that other sheet. So this is how it is linked. But I can also type the model, sorry, that's also a double click. I can also type the model and it will show up here. But essentially this link and load is linking the information from one sheet to another. And
Right, right.
yeah, it kind of, well, I was supposed to change this to file upload fields so that the files show up. There you go. So it's actually taking this information from the other sheet that I was using.
Right.
The same thing goes
So, so
for. Sorry.
yeah, the that part I understand, but
Mhm.
the My concern was that the model number has the 15 total model number or factory model number has 15 digits, but a lot of manuals are using the first 5 digits, and rest of them is the description of the color, description of the manufacturing plant, and so on and so forth. But first 5 digits is most important because that particular 5 digit can be utilized to 10, 15, 20 different model numbers. So
Oh,
I
okay, so
was
you don't
wondering
really
if
want
you
to
can
like
walk.
store them multiple times, right?
Right, right. So wirecut type of thing is anything not just the first 5 digits and the rest of it doesn't matter, then 4 digits. Would that be possible?
Hmm. Well, let me think. Usually I would not recommend uploading something multiple times, but we do have a Dropbox configuration that you can use, and I'm not sure if that would fit your situation. Um, Basically, that kind of synchronizes all the files from
Mm-hmm.
your one of your Dropbox folders and syncs it to Ragic. So you can possibly create a new field on that and uh, select all the associated models uh,
Mm-hmm.
that you have. That might be one way. Another way would be to keep all those PDFs on Ragic, and whether with Dropbox or with storing PDFs over here, is that there's an advantage of doing this because let's see, um, okay, there's this thing we have within Ragic where you can search for words within your PDF files. So if I search for off-peak, I'm not sure if it will search now because I just uploaded that, but it slowly crawls for your within your files and then kind of finds you can search basically for keywords inside your files with the search bar over here. So right now that doesn't work because I just uploaded these. That might be another way of doing that. So you can store your files on Ragic, but you can search for them and then link them somehow on your main model sheet. That might also be a good way of doing that. Um, there are maybe a couple other different ways that might require some side scripting on the side, but for your particular case, I think it would be easier if you have um, just a sheet with the model and repair manual, and then just add like add a tags field or like models associated, something like that, and make this a paragraph field can be a good idea. So you can just write all of the models RX 345 maybe. So this is the front whatever, and then 5 1 2 2 3 4 maybe. But if you search for any of the numbers basically in there, it should show up on here. So I don't remember 3 4 5 2 3 4. So it's not really good with partial searches, but if you are looking for something that is a prefix, then it kind of shows up over here. If you want to look for an internal thing, then probably using the filter on the header is better. So I think this does partial searches better. Yeah, it does kind of keep this in the filter. So there are a few ways. Well, if you're worried about having to upload a lot of files, I would
Mm-hmm.
recommend using this mass file upload feature we have. We do have a a guide for that as well. I'll just paste the link to the chat box. And if you keep your file names very orderly, then I would recommend that a lot, because you can also search for file names within Ragic as well. So I hope
Okay,
that
got it.
helps. But
Thank
if you need extra help, just let me know later while you're building your app. All right?
Thank you very much.
No
And
problem.
yeah, last thing.
Sure.
Uh, is Ragic can be is a mobile version
Yeah, there is a
or
mobile.
tablet version?
We do have Android and iOS apps. They work on Android phones, tablets, and your iPhone or iPad. But right now there is we I think just supported data entry, so it's not as I don't think you can do offline data entry yet, but you can download your entries on Android to view them offline. And I think our Android right now has data entry capabilities, but you can also use the full browser version if you log in with your browser on your mobile device.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Alright, anyone else? I'm not receiving many questions yet. Let me just delete these files. These are my personal bills and I don't really want them. Oh, right. They're the they're in the models sheet. Let me just delete them. Cancel. Alright, Charlie is asking, they have a checkout system and it has a due date and a return date. You would like a reminder that would only send an email if the return date is not larger than the due date. Yeah, okay, so for this, um, we do have a way of sending out email reminders um, from the back end. So you can write a script to do to send email reminders based on two different dates, and that requires some programming knowledge. We don't really have that in the interface right now. The email reminders within the system is based on if an entry is created or edited or whatnot. A very easy way of doing that is explained in our JavaScript workflow engine. So this is the user guide, by the way. I can just copy the link um, here if anyone else wants to refer to it. Through the JavaScript workflow engine is in the last section, and let's see. So sending email notifications is one of the sections, and this is a little bit complicated. So it kind of looks at the name and email fields where you store, for example, a customer's name and their email, and then the title as well for this example. So this I think was the subject. I'm not a good programmer. I'm not a programmer actually. I'm a designer, but um, so this one actually doesn't really look at the dates, but it's possible to also get the date value like you do for the other fields. And programming that is another issue. We have had another customer who has requested a custom scripting. So we do, some of our developers actually work with the customers to sometimes do custom scripting. And she had wanted a notification to be sent on the first day of the month each month. Sorry, the last day of the month each month. So that the date checker for that, which is done by coding with JavaScript, um, had to determine which day was the last day of that month. So you know that it can be different for each month because we have the 30th and the 31st, and sometimes in February it differs from 28 or 29, right? So she absolutely wanted the last day, which is okay. and we did that script for them, and they were able to like receive automatic notifications for that. So in your case, if a due date and a return date is if the return date is not I guess later than the due date, you would like a reminder, um, which I think could be an easy check. So if you do know how to do programming, you probably know how to do that logic. If you need being pointed in the right direction, you can write this question to our support email, and our developers can help you with writing a short script if it's easy. If not, then you might need to do that yourself, or hire a programmer, or ask us to help you with custom scripting, which is a little bit extra. But if this is an absolutely like um, if it's an absolutely useful thing for you, then sure, it might be worth it. So I'll write our email again. It's support@ragic.com. Sorry, I couldn't like. I wish I could just easily script this, but I'm not a programmer myself. I would be happy to help with non-coding questions. If it's easy, I can do it usually, but not for this, unfortunately. Does that answer your question, Charlie? All right. Thanks. Thanks for asking that. That was an interesting question. All right. Anyone else? If you're a new user, inexperienced with Ragic, we'd also. Yeah, I can demonstrate the search capability, of course. So, viewer 2 is saying, my office hasn't yet adopted Ragic but are considering it. They need to be able to search the database on a number of criteria in various combinations. Okay, so we have a few different ways of searching. If you had joined like 10 minutes ago, 12 minutes ago, before, then I did show that when you upload a file, Ragic can most definitely search for text within that file, but of course I had just uploaded those PDFs, so I couldn't really crawl through them yet. But I can create a new, actually, contact sheet, because I do have an example CSV that I had prepared earlier. So this is just a fake name generator kind of thing that I generated earlier, because I figured people would like to know about importing. So we'll go through an import process, and then we'll search for things inside here, alright? Hopefully that would be useful for newer users as well. So I have a bunch of people and their addresses, as well as their phone numbers, and a few other things that we probably don't need. Anyway, I'm going to upload this as a contacts database first, and then we'll go through some of the steps to search. Hopefully that would be more useful. Alright, so I'm going to create a contact sheet here, and while uploading, if you already have your data in an Excel spreadsheet like this, it's important to know that the first row is your field titles. So these are all titles, and this is how usually people keep their data, actually, which is the title in the first row. Usually this has a format, like it's bold and center aligned or something. It doesn't matter. The title is the first row usually, and then you have all your different contacts in different columns over here. So I'm going to create a new sheet in Ragic with my Excel file, and then I will just upload that one Excel sheet. This is actually very useful. A website called Fake Name Generator I use a lot to just get test data, because I don't really want to use like real data. Alright, so this is asking me to check if the first row of my data is headers, which is yes, it is. So right now for this, we don't really have all our field types here, and they're not very accurate sometimes, but you can change the field types later. So I'm gonna make this a free text, and this is selection. These are all, yeah, selection is fine. So selection is when you have just a few options underneath, so like different categories about something, then usually selection is the best. It gives you a drop down with all your options in it. So I'll get a drop down with Mr., Mrs., Miss, Ms., Mr., whatnot. This is the free text, and then my address I will change it to an address later. There you go. Birthday is a date, age is numeric, and that looks alright. So I'm gonna move on, and this is the import process. So it will import all my 500 entries I had under there. Sorry if this is taking long, but I need data to search for. Alright, so I have like 500 contacts in here, and you can see that it's very, very like messy right now because I all have them in a spreadsheet like structure. And this, when I click on any of the entries, so any of the rows over here, it takes me to their own entry. So let's say that I was looking to, I would like to look for people who live in Washington. You can see that since the state, I think when I uploaded it, was a selection field. Yeah, so text fields don't really show up underneath my header filter. So the little arrow next to each field header in what I call my listing page. So this is the listing page where all the entries are kind of underneath the headers, like I had in my spreadsheet. Is called the listing page because it lists all my records under one page, basically. So the headers next to the headers in my listing page, I can use this little arrow to drop down this menu to search for text with this filter by text option. So I can press this and manually write something. So Ohio will give me all the Ohioan people, I guess, the people from Ohio. So I'll clear that. This is how we clear all the filters within Ragic. If I had applied, it shows up next to the field header over here. I can clear that, and then we can also see that since my state was a selection option, the Ohio is also under this list. So I can click that too. And if I wanted to further filter this to all the misters in Ohio, then I can do from several headers. The same thing works for the filters on the left side. So you can see that it already has my filters, but this is a kind of a better way to look at it, in the sense that I can see all my fields over here, whereas in the listing page I can kind of change the number of fields that are displayed on the top here. So I will demonstrate in a bit. Actually, let me demonstrate now. So if I click change design from my listing page, which I usually don't do for any other reason, by the way, this is only for like changing the number of fields that are displayed in my listing page, because sometimes you just want to see a few things at a glance and you don't really want to see all the, all the fluff. For example, I don't really need to see their birthday on my main page, or, well, I probably only need their state, not their street address, not their email. So I'll deselect those. Number, gender, title, okay, given name, surname, city, state, and zip code will maybe be enough. And by the way, you can kind of adjust the width of the fields over here. So I'll do that just to have a little bit more space, open space, like kind of makes it better to view your data. So this is kind of better. It's not as cluttered as we had it. And I'm only displaying 25 per page. So if I use the filters over here on the left, I can kind of use the filters to filter for multiple things. So if I wanted to see every male person in, where's the state? There you go. In Texas in my database, then I can search for them over here. So that's also another way of searching. We can also use the top search bar over here. So that's kind of like a Google search. It's a full text search bar which you can use, and it kind of displays the entries as well. Although you don't really see all the people from Texas, but if I search for Texas and click full text search, it should display all the people from Texas. Oh, there you go. There are a lot of people from Texas. Alright, I hope that helps. There are also a few things you can do with extra. Like, for example, if I had people who didn't have a city name in the database and I wanted to search for these empty kind of fields. So I do have some empties on it. If you're doing some cleanup with your data, this is sometimes useful. So I can search for my empty text by writing, by not writing anything and clicking exact match and submitting. So that will come up with the empty fields. If I wanted to do the reverse, I can filter for regular expressions as well. So you can write regular expressions if you do know how to. If you don't, you can Google them. They're quite easy. So this means that if the entry is not empty, regex 2 dots and then a period and a plus means if I do have a value in that field. So if you submit, then you can see that the empty blank cities are filtered out of my database now. Alright, so after that, I think the most important thing would be creating views. So you remember how we had our filters from the left sidebar? A good way of using filters is if you have a lot of users and you really want to like save some quick type of filters for them to just click on. So if for example this was a prospecting app and I wanted to like look for, I don't know, a lot more information from this, for example, CEOs in the Texas region or something like that, you can do that and just filter out the things you like. For example, I'm just gonna use the state Texas now. Texas. Oh, by the way, these are like, these can be multiple. So if I wanted Texas, Utah, and Virginia as an area that my, I don't know, employees work in, then I can select multiples. And let's say I only wanted to see the females. So has a maybe you know, focus group for sales or something. So I can save them as a view over here. So you can see there are a few different types over here. Personal view is only views that only you can see, and a shared view is shared through all users in your in your in your account that can see this sheet. And a fixed filter is for anyone and everyone that can view that sheet, and that cannot be removed by regular users. Only you, the system admins, can remove a fixed filter. So that is a good option when you kind of don't want people to see some of the data. So I'm gonna make this a shared view and say like Texas, Utah, Virginia, females, and submit. So you can see that is saved over here, and if I cleared this filter and see all of them, I can just press on this to kind of filter that immediately. So that's a quick option after you do the search. If you do that search very often, it's better to save it as a view. You can also set it as a default so that when you open the sheet, you'll see this search. So I hope that helps. We also have a few ways of rating Boolean searches, and that is better explained on our user guide again. So this document I wrote, it's under 3.1. I'll just copy this link over on the chat, so you can refer to that later if you want. Um, Basically, this goes through the views and the left sidebar and the query as well. And here, I think, oh, there, the second one, top search bar query syntax. That shows you all the Boolean operators you can use, so or, and, plus, or like excluding things. Wildcard searches. So if you are looking for a certain prefix or whatever in the text, these are very useful. Fuzzy searches. And yeah, I hope this helps. These are very specific, and sometimes, usually people don't really need to use them, but these are very useful for very specific cases. And we do have a list of regular expressions you can use in the bottom over here. So that's what I used for filtering out the things that have a value. The blank value is just leave the field blank and say exact search, and that's it. So I hope that helps. Do you have any other questions? Oh, no problem. Alright, so anyone else? I would really like to help as many people as possible, so please write your
Okay.
questions. Hi, I can hear you. Hi. Hello? Alright, by the way, for people who are dialing in, you can speak if you dial *6. And I just heard someone, but if you do have any questions, just let me know now. Hello? No, I can't hear her anymore. Anyway, *6 is how you mute or unmute yourself if you have not connected with a dial-in. So with a phone, you can write through the chat bubble, and I will answer all questions. Okay, water break. By the way, this is the second time I planned this webinar, but last time my email notifications didn't go out for a funny reason, which is a very long. But so nobody ended up attending. But I'm glad that you guys are all here and listening in. Thank you for that. Alright, please send your questions over. Especially about linking, if you have very specific cases, we can kind of build a demo like we did for this. Because I think it's very useful to go through examples to see what other people are doing. And I've had a lot of customers who build very complicated apps, and usually they're a fun challenge if it's not directly something that they wanted with the structure in Ragic, and if we can get closer to the ideal database they wanted, it's usually very helpful to know, because that some of the features we come up with after those cases is usually something other users can use, and it's pretty useful to get feedback. Alright, while you are writing your questions, I had another question from Tobichoku. Are you here? If you are here, just let me know. So he had a problem earlier. So this scenario is interesting because I don't really hear any cases like this. Um, so basically, a person working in their company was granted sysadmin rights. Sysadmin is basically, you can see from account setup, users over here. So these are all my internal users, and of course, this is the test database I opened. So I'm the only user, and I'm a sysadmin. So what does sysadmin mean? It's basically I have access to every single thing in the database, and that is something you want to be careful about. So I can change the design and like boot other users out. I can delete users. I can just block them access. So from here, if I suspend a user, yeah, they will not be able to access the database anymore. So you want to be very careful on who you want to grant that access rights. Instead of that, there's a good way of giving people a lot of rights without giving them a sysadmin right, which is admin. So admin and sysadmin is not the same. Admin will be able to, and these are given based on the user and the sheet they can access to. So you can see on the access rights panel over here in your, so this menu is under start and account setup, this entire menu. So the access right panel is showing me all my sheets, and all my users are supposed to be in certain user groups. You can assign one, you can assign several, but basically I am in the sysadmin group here. But if I had an employee, for example, named Betty, Betty, for example, is, let's say she's in sales, alright? Sales is someone who can see people's contact information and how the sales funnel works. Alright, I don't really want to give them any rights to see, for example, my customers. Um, well, the customers' orders and whatnot is fine, but if you have like sensitive information, you probably don't want them to see that. And I can give them essentially access rights to, let's say the contacts were what they were supposed to see. I can give them viewer rights if I want to. So these are all a little bit confusing at first. I do understand that. So I'll go through them one by one. So survey user is basically they can create their own entries and they will only be able to view their own entries. So that's why we call that a survey user. The viewer can view everything, so it's kind of higher than survey user, but viewer cannot create entries. Bulletin user can create or edit their own entries and see all the other people's entries, so it's kind of like a bulletin board type of thing, kind of like how you would use a forum online. So you can edit your own posts, like on Facebook. Like you can't edit your friends' posts, right? You can only edit or delete your own, but you can't really delete something another person posted. You can only report them on Facebook. Anyway, we don't have reporting here, in that sense anyway. So that's what bulletin user is. So this is the best internal user right you can give for most people, because we want, for example, in our internal bug tracking system, we are bulletin users and we kind of comment on other people's things, but don't really modify it. Like you don't need to modify what somebody else wrote. And the admin, this can be a manager in your company, so you can give them admin rights, and they can create or delete other people's like they can create their own entries and delete other people's entries. Basically what else they can do, yeah, they can modify other entries as well. So this is the only person who can modify other entries apart from the system admin, and system admin has like every right. They can change the design of the sheets, they can They can create, edit, or delete entries. They can modify everything. And you really want to be careful about who you grant that right to. Um, so in this user's case, I mean, he's saying that they gave somebody system admin rights, and they blocked this user just blocked them from the account after leaving the company. A bit petty, but yeah, that's something you need to be careful of, because Ragic wouldn't monitor who you grant system admin rights to. You might have multiple managers of the entire account um, who design your database. A good way to circumvent that is, I'll open this up. So we do have another knowledge based thing. Uh, right. There is a way to grant system administrator privileges for different tabs for one certain user. So the way to do that is use the page's URL. So for example, if I had my new tab contacts, so this is under my account name is office hours, right? Your account name would be something else over here, and the tab name is usually over here, and this is the first sheet in that tab. Alright, so that is how we configure the URLs in Ragic. So if you wanted to grant access rights to a certain user as an admin, you can write your own user group named, in this case it would be new tab 1, but basically it would be something more coherent in your app, because I don't have a name for this new tab. Anyway, it would be your tab name slash whatever the number your sheet was given when you created it. So you can create oh sorry, it's the entire tab. So it would be sysadmin slash new tab in my case. So I can give the user rights for this entire tab if I have a lot of sheets under it as sysadmin, but they will be able to like create or create new sheets under that tab and change the design on all the other sheets, but they won't be able to access the backend, the account setup where all your users are stored over here. So that's pretty useful in that case. I'll just copy paste this article over here so that you can refer to it later. And the next question from that same user was, they really liked using Ragic and they wanted to create the same account, the same sheets on another account. And to do that is easy. It kind of like, alright, we have another question, but I will quickly finish this. They wanted to create the same database without any data in another account. And that's also possible by doing a backup and restore. So the backup process, you should all know this by the way. Ragic does automatic backups, it does. But if you have a professional account, you have access to those backups and can restore to those previous backups if you need to. In other account types, I think for light and free accounts, you have to like contact us to restore a previous backup, and it doesn't back up as frequently as it would a professional account. Anyway, as you can see, like today I just opened this account, but so my daily backup was already saved earlier. I can create a snapshot of the way it's my database is right now. But if you go to a new account and use a backup of this account in that other account to like restore a database, then it will have all your values as well as your sheets. If you go and back up the database definition only, that means it only copies the design over, not the values. So that's the way to copy your entire sheets without all the data. So if you want a clean account without any data, which isn't the case most of the times, but if a company has like three or four divisions that will use different accounts, that's very useful in that case. Alright, I hope that clarifies this, and I hope I didn't go off on a tangent there. John Park is saying, if I have four subtable rows and each has the substatus column, would it be possible to grab the last substatus from the last subtable row and put it on the front page? Yes, it would actually. This is a very easy. There's a very easy solution for that. So let me create a new sheet for that. Called what would it be? Maybe you would like to go by your example. Do you want to give a concrete type of example so we can create that, or should I just go with a generic kind of thing? I'll wait for you for a couple seconds there. Generic? Okay. Um okay, so subtable example. New pending complete? Yeah, sure. Although that wouldn't be a very good example because well, I'll get with that in a bit. So, okay. Statuses. So what John means by subtable for new users, this is a kind of thing you can do on your form. So by the way, when I create a new form, it goes to the form page. So I design um, this kind of like if I was designing a form. So let's say tasks for this because this sounds more like a project type of thing. Okay, projects. Okay, we'll have the tasks as a subtable. How does that sound? Okay, project ID, project name, description, and we have a bunch of tasks that other people are gonna do underneath here. So let's say I have task ID, and then description assigned to, and status. Alright, so status is new, pending, or complete. Sounds good. So usually I would make this to select user, so I can select from people who are users of my account from here. And the task
Actually,
yeah?
the your screen. I think your screen is frozen. I see the mouse hit pointers moving,
Yes?
but then I can't see any of the changes
Oh,
on your screen.
yeah, that's a problem. Let's see. Can you see anything right now? Like I'm moving my cursor from
Yeah,
the field types.
I I see the mouse pointer moving, but then the rest of the screen is frozen. I don't see any changes.
Charlie's saying it's working. Okay, yeah, I do have this problem sometimes with this software. Let me quickly unshare my screen and share it again, alright?
Okay.
Let's see. So hopefully this will fix it. Can you see anything right now?
Now it's all broken. I see that it says project, but then after that, everything is just broken into rectangular shape.
Oh, I see. So it's
It's
pixelated.
lagging.
What browser are you using? Sorry.
I'm using the Chrome, Google Chrome.
Interesting, because I've never had a problem with Chrome. Yeah, this is a problem that this webinar program has, the join.me I'm using. It kind of sometimes gets stuck on some people's screens. It's not something I can fix. So, uh, let's see. Do they have troubleshooting? Join.me screen frozen. Let's quickly Google that.
Oh, now I see it.
Oh, you
I
see
just
it? Okay,
refreshed
yeah,
my
I think
browser.
it's a bit slow in some cases. If that happens again, yeah, please refresh. I know
Okay,
it
thank you.
sometimes lags behind, like, like that, but okay. Okay, I'll move on. So we just assigned the task ID to be auto-generated. So I don't know if all your users have kind of designed your own thing yet, but I usually, if you watched any of my videos, I usually like to put a prefix because there are a lot of numbers sometimes, and it might get confusing if you have a lot of different categories. So I kind of like to have a prefix in auto-generated fields like that. But that's not necessary. I mean, if you're happy with 1, 2, 3 on each thing, then you'll be fine. Alright, so this description field is probably going to be long, and the status is new, pending, or complete right now, and we kind of want to update the project status to be following the last of whatever was selected over here. So this is going to change into a selection field because I wrote status. Ragic kind of does that for whenever you type a new field name, but that's okay. I mean, I'm going to change this back to a free text right now. So my statuses are new, pending, or complete, and I kind of want this to show what's in the last row of my subtable. So this, by the way, when I place all the fields next to each other, makes a subtable in my form. It only shows 3 rows underneath right now, so the values have shifted down, but these 3 rows will expand as I create new entries underneath the subtable. Okay, so I'm gonna save that first, and let's say this is a Blue Jay watching project. Watching, I don't know, more scientific, observing Blue Jays and taking photos. So the first task is planning, assigned to me because I'm the only user, and it's new, let's say. So right now it didn't change anything because I didn't add the formula yet, but I'm gonna do that in a bit. So let's say this is complete, and I was like doing, I don't know, arranging a bus to the location, and then this is pending, alright? And I want the project status to say pending because this is the last status right now, and we do have a formula for that. Cheers! So in the formula, I'm just gonna write, so remember that in formulas you always have to refer to the header of the field, whether it's a subtable or a standalone field. I always want to say D7, alright? So I know the value is going to show up on B5, but if I was referring to this field project status, I would write A5, okay? So the formula for this is going to be the last thing that was written in D7. So I'm going to write the last D7. And that's the formula you wanted. I'm sorry for the very long-winded answer, but I'm gonna I'm gonna calculate this in the background. So Ragic can do a recalculation for your formula. So I don't need to recalculate it again. For example, if I had this and changed it to complete, it will change to complete. And if I had a new item like packing snacks and make it new, then it would be new. Alright, so the formula is always calculated when you are editing or creating a new, editing the values of anything that was being referred to, or you are like creating a new entry. Alright, no problem. I'm sorry for the long answer, but I wanted to show this. And you can also kind of do something very, very complicated if you need to. So we do support conditional formulas with if or and there is count ifs, stuff like that that you're used to in Excel. It's kind of used differently here, and we have a little bit of a different formatting for formulas since we refer to the field headers. It's all shown in here. So we do have a way of nesting conditional formulas. So in the example over here, let me just enlarge this so you guys can see it. So there are a few ways of like rating these. This is an AND formula, but because it checks if a1 is a string. By the way, if you're using string values in a field, you probably want to refer it as field the field number thing dot raw. So if you have string values inside, you use this one. Okay, so this checks if A1 is yes and A2 is John. So if it does it's true for both these, then the result's gonna be C3 times C8. Well, we do have a few more solid examples, but if you have a formula question, feel free to let me know. Alright, any other questions so far? Alright, I see a few people have left when they got answers, but for the people remaining, if you have anything that you wanted to design and like not sure how to go about in doing that, just let me know through the chat box. I would be glad to build a small demo or at least point you in the right direction to see how you can do that. In the meantime, I will make this account. So ragic.com/office hours. I'm gonna open all these sheets for everyone to be a bulletin user, so you can test everything and create your own entries and view everything too. So I'll save that. So if you log into, if you access this link from anywhere, you should be able to see my test sheets as I build them. I mean, not as, but right after. Alright, any other questions? Because I'm going by questions, so I in its own, but sometimes other users do the same thing as well. So sometimes it's very useful to see what other people are doing, or even if it's not exactly similar. I know, like in our tutorials over here, most articles in our user guide over here is what I written, and they usually go through like very generic kind of things, like for the linking, for example. These are usually like examples for sales and whatnot, and I know like a lot of people understand that, but it's not necessarily relating to their case. So if you have any like specific questions, just let me know, and I'll know what people are building more and adjust these accordingly. I'm kind of responsible for doing most of the support articles. So if I know a case that is used quite often, then I would probably kind of write at least a knowledge base article about it if I know. Makes sense? So if you do have any questions in mind, I would be very glad to answer. So Charlie has a question. Is it possible to change a selection field like yes or no on an inventory sheet from a checkout sheet? Let's see. So let me have this. I don't know if everyone has the chat box open, so I'll just copy it here to my Q&A kind of thing. Charlie is asking, So, is it possible to change a selection field on an inventory sheet from a checkout sheet? Mm, yeah, well, yes. So, kind of like a library checkout, we might say, or like if you are sharing things in the office, like radios and whatnot, this is useful, yeah. So, we probably have a sheet of items or in the inventory, like a list of items in the inventory, and then a checkout sheet. Um, it's actually not that hard to build, so I'm gonna kind of create a list for you. Item ID, availability. Oh. Oh, by the way, when I'm doing demos, I get this question a lot if I have like a space between um, my fields. Some people ask why. It's just a preference. I like to leave some spaces in between sometimes, and it's just a preference thing. It makes, in my opinion, makes it look cleaner because these are forms. It's not necessarily a spreadsheet. I know it looks like one in the format here, but here, when I'm creating new entries, it is a form. So I I don't really like to have everything mushed together. So I have a radio, and that's also available. Hmm. Mug 2. I'm not very creative today. So let's go back to Charlie's question. Um, oh no, I made this on the wrong account. No, let me quickly download this because I'm lazy and go back to my office hours sheet and create a inventory tab. Sorry. Okay, that was the wrong account. This is my questions account for webinars. You cannot access this. Anyway, Charlie is asking. Let's put this on the side. I should have used another sidebar. So, an inventory sheet from a checkout sheet. So, you kind of want to have a checkout sheet to see who checked out what at what dates. And then go to the checkout sheet and mark it checked out. So I want to mark this no essentially when it is checked out by someone. When the item is checked back in, you want to change the checked out field back to which makes this available. So yeah, in your example it's checked out. Well, let's change this to kind of follow that. So I want to checked out. So these are all gonna be why don't I have this as a selection? Oh yeah, because I just imported the files. Let's change this all to no. Let me quickly mass edit this. Mass update. Update checked out. No, so they're all available. Hope this doesn't confuse you. Okay, they're all. Yeah, I need to change the title here as well. There you go. Checked out, no. Okay. And by the way, the reason my listing page field showed some other title is sometimes people like to write an abbreviation in the listing page because there are so many columns and they kind of want to write a short thing as the name. So after I save my form for the first time, the listing page is created. But I mean, you can change the format and the styling of the fields on both sides separately if you want to. So that's why when I changed the name after I saved the form, it didn't change in my listing page directly. So that's the reason for that. Okay, so you want to have a um, checkout sheet, and the most basic things is checkout ID, which will be generated by Ragic, CO, let's say, and then by, checked out by, user. So for the select user field, by the way, you can set this to be defaulted to the current user and make it read only if you want to. So basically when I create a form, I won't be able to edit this field, but it will be under my name automatically. Alright, so that's a way. Date, checked out date, return date. And Charlie's question says, by checking it out, I want to set the checked out field to yes in the inventory sheet. When the item is checked back in, you want to check that back you want to change that back to no when the item is returned. So I kind of want to add a check to see if it's actually returned or not. Usually if you're saying like return date is larger than checkout date, but that's always gonna be the case. So usually, I mean, so people like to assign a certain amount of days in between, usually for libraries and stuff like that. For example, there's only a limit of 5 days until you need to return the item. But I mean, sometimes people, yeah, you do have a due date field, but some people return late or some people don't return. I mean, some people return earlier. Uh, you didn't mention the due date, I think. Let me read this again. So, okay, I mean, it doesn't really matter to have a due date field. In this case, we can have it, but I want to actually check if it's been returned or not, because people are not very honest sometimes when borrowing things and then never giving them back. This happens in libraries more than you can imagine, and well, returned, yes or no, is something we might need to keep track of. And I can actually set an action button that marks something returned or not. Or let's have a check saying yes, it was returned, no, it doesn't need to be returned yet, or overdue. All right, overdue. So if the current day is no anyone want to help me? Okay, let's go back to the item sheet first. Did I save that? I did. So this is defaulted to no, because when you create the entry, you don't want it to be checked out. So the way to set a default value is right here under the field type. and it's saying not set, and I can set it by selecting any of the options over here. So it's defaulted to no. So when I create a new item, I'll write this later. Item name, coffee mug this time because I'm very creative, is let me change the design very quickly to make this auto generated. It will be item, and it will start by 4, and I need to populate the empty value, so I'll have an this needs to be 4, and I need to save the set sequence to 5 set. Okay, the reason I did this was I accidentally created this in another account first, and then I needed to like import the values here, so that wasn't an auto generate field just now, but that's not very important at the time. Anyway, so on the checkout I will need to link the item that's being checked out, right? So item ID, item name, and checked out, yes or no. So if I'm creating something new and I return it next week, the due date, oh, I haven't returned it yet, right? Okay, now it makes sense. So you have a due date and it's due to be returned on the 7th, and the actual return date is here. So if the actual return date is before the due date, it's gonna say it is, yeah, it was returned. But if the actual return date is empty, it should say no. And if the actual return date is after due date, then it should say overdue. Or I would actually prefer this to also calculate if today is larger than the due date, it should also say overdue. But there is one problem with that. So Ragic stores value in your database, and if I created this today and I have a certain field that generates today's date, then it would save today's date when I create that one account. So it won't update that today every day. We're actually working on a feature like that, so I just yesterday pestered our head dev to kind of like have something in the interface that will recalculate one field's formula every day, and I hope we do implement that soon because it's actually a very useful feature. Anyway, so that's the gist of it, and I am gonna implement that formula here, but if since we cannot calculate today's date every day, I'm gonna use an alternative for that. How does that sound? So okay, when I select something, I want to be able to select from the available items, right? I shouldn't be able to see all the ones that have been checked out already in this list. So I'm gonna use a dynamic filter to do that first. Let's see, cancel. So we go to change the design, and from sheet linking tools, I already have the items linked, alright? So I'm going to create a dynamic link by selecting the gear icon next to the items sheet. Click on that. So this one says dynamic filter, and if I have checked out saying only show records, so I'm gonna only show the ones that have checked out no, so that I wouldn't be able to select anything that was already checked out. Okay, this is the first step. Okay, let me save that, and I kind of want, oops, no, I'm still in the design mode, right? So I also want to keep the loaded values synchronized with the source. Okay, so far so good. So when I select something, I want to set the checked out to become yes, right? The way to do that, I think, isn't very easy. Usually it's easier if I have them linked in a subtable. Let's think. Mm, okay. So this should become, um, yes when I create this. Although would that abide? So even if I change it manually, I think it wouldn't synchronize with the items. Hmm. No, yeah, I did have a method for this. I actually have a tutorial about it, but it's a little bit of a different case where I use like a subtable to link and load, and that works alright, which is fine. Oh, I think I can. You know what, Charlie? You ask very tough questions. Yeah, I did do this before, so no, don't be sorry. This is a challenge. All right. So, to figure this out, I think I might need to look at one of my previous things. So, let me quickly have a look at. I don't have it here probably. I might have it on YouTube. Oh, see, we do have an example for. Let me just copy this for sending out a reminder for a certain date of the week. But that's also different from what someone was asking earlier. I'll just send this. This is kind of similar, so you can look at the code over there and compare as well. Sorry for the tangent, but yeah, I think I have this under the tutorials actually. Let me have a quick look. Um, Learn Ragic. Here are all our video tutorials. Most of the videos I made, by the way. Um, Tracking things. Um, yeah, I remember. Okay. I do remember. Yes, it needs to be on a subtable. And okay, so usually what I do is I have a checkout ID. Okay, so this is um but the name is kind of blah. So yeah, this is because I was building a library system, and you know that users can check out multiple books in one go, and some books have like okay, depending on the categories of books, they have to return encyclopedias, for example, in 1 month, but novels in like 2 weeks or something. And you can have different due dates depending on what the category was. So the due date information is comes by like you have to add the number of days. So okay, for the items there are like different amount of days that can be borrowed. Okay, so this number changes for every item. And by the way, quick trick for you guys that have been nice enough to attend my webinar. From the listing page, you can actually edit multiple entries by clicking E on your keyboard. So this goes to edit mode. It's not very efficient, but it works in most cases. Anyway, so that kind of saved my thing. I think it doesn't show up on. Oh no, it does. It used to not to. Oh no, it doesn't show in the history. That's why we don't really want to show that to users. But I'll pester our developer team to add that to the information panel as well in the future. So, okay, I can borrow a coffee mug for 2 days, alright? And on the checkout thing, I need to, sorry, not this, form page design mode. So I'm gonna delete all these, just to not confuse myself. So, checkout number, and I have item checkout number, alright? Okay, so this is also auto-generated. Let's call this ICN number. And then I will link and load the checkout items. The items in a subtable. So I'm gonna. Did you see what I just did? I ignored where the white space was and directly linked this next to my item checkout number, so that it can be linked like this. Checked out, yes, no, and then these. Hey. Oh no. Huh. Days that can be borrowed over here. So that's my subtable, and then my due date is for each item, and the checked out date is the same for each item. Alright, returned. Then this is supposed to be returned all, yes or no, and then I'm gonna have a separate return thing over here for yes, no, or overdue for each item. Okay, is this too complicated? No? Okay, cool. So I'll save this first, and okay, so okay, my checked out date is always this date. Okay, what next? Let me create a few checkout IDs over here to kind of. Right, I need to. So I don't need the checked out information here because I know it's gonna be checked out, but I need to like update the item that is currently being checked out or not, and then I should be able to select the checked out no items only. Alright? Okay, so checked out date is today. Is this defaulted to today? No, not yet. So I'm gonna make this default to today, and then I also need to put a formula on this to automatically say if it was returned or not. So, and the due date needs to be, I'll make that numeric so that we can calculate the due date accordingly. So the due date always needs to be the checked out date, which is A4 plus D10. Alright? Makes sense? And then the return date is manually configured. And I don't think I can do, can I? I think I cannot write that in the formulas. Anyway, okay. So I'll make this calculate to see if I'm doing this correctly. Due date is calculated. And yeah, so does that, yeah, that's 5 days after today. Okay. And we kind of want to have to be able to select items that are not checked out. No. Okay. Save and exit. So I'll only be able to see item. Oh yeah, I haven't switched this out yet to say that these two are checked out. Okay, so far so good. So as far as I can remember, I need to create a new sheet from this subtable. Um, okay, new sheet from subtable. Yeah, create new sheet. Okay. Individual checkouts. So for new users to Ragic, when I create a new sheet from the subtable, it will list. So imagine this, I have tons of records under here, and each subtable has tons of records. This one lists all the subtable items on each of my records, alright? Okay. So this one links my items directly, and it should mm, yeah, I need to put the system for the returning first in order to reconfigure the item. So okay. Um okay. I need to say, let's make this kind of simple, alright? Right now I have the overdue thing. I can actually do that, but it's a little bit hard to do without scripting. So I'm gonna kind of delete the overdue and make this simple. If the return date is full, then I'm gonna say it was returned. If the return date is not full, I'm gonna say it's not returned yet. Alright? So if f10 is empty, this means empty, alright? Like two quote signs. It can be a single quote or a double quote, it doesn't matter. If I don't have anything in between, it means empty. So if f10 is empty, then the value is going to be no. Otherwise, it's going to be yes. Alright? So let me test this first. So, we should recalculate that first. Okay. Huh? No, it's supposed to say no. Am I reading this wrong? Return if f10 is empty. But f10 is empty. Wait, let's try creating another entry. Oh, it's not automatically. Let's see, what am I doing wrong? If f10 it's supposed to say no. Huh. This is kind of. Let's see, am I doing this wrong? Formulas. Sorry about that, guys. So calculating dates, this shows the date, and if, okay, if value of true, value of false. Yeah, the one I wrote should be right. this is not working correctly. Is my formula updating? Yeah, it is. If F7. Okay, yeah, I'll need to report this. This looks like a bug, but normally this should work if I wrote no here and yes here. And it should update automatically when, for example, I should... Oh, why is it working now? Wait, was I doing it correctly all the time? So if I have a new item here, and but why is it not saying no now? Do I have a default on that? Not set. Formula, it should be defaulting to no. Let's try that actually. Normally I wouldn't have to set this though. Okay. So if I save this, it should say no. Okay. And if I like select a date, then it says yes. Okay, that's what it's supposed to do, by the way. I'll check this again afterwards. But this is what it's supposed to do. Anyway, okay, moving on. So this checkout sheet, sorry, the other individual checkouts should show this already. Okay. And I need to refer this back to the items. So on the items, I will have to show references from existing sheets, and from the individual checkouts it will show the due date, return date, and return. Okay, so mug 2, let's see, is this correct? So right now for checkout 1, I have mug 1 and mug 2 and radio. Let me actually delete some of these because it's getting complicated. Okay, so mug 1, mug 2 and radio were borrowed, and then this one isn't returned yet. So this should be shown in my... Where did everything else go? So sorry guys, this is taking a little bit long. Trying to figure it out. Huh, wondering why it's not loading. No, there you go. Okay, so let's see, checkout. I have one checkout thing, and it checks if I have a return date or not, and it says yes or no accordingly. Right, for the new users who have just logged in, if you write your questions in the chat box, I will come back to them. Right now we're trying to figure out if a checkout system. So basically, I am having a look if it was returned or not. Sorry, someone, I can hear feedback. So if you have dialed in, I can hear some noise over there. Can you please dial *6? I'll write this down, *6, to mute yourself, please. Thank you. Okay, that's better. And okay, let's see. Yeah, so it's checking if I have a return date on here in the checkout sheet or not, and it will show me yes or no accordingly. And I have created a new sheet from the subtable, so for entries coming from here. And this should also do the same thing on here. So I'll redo the formula over here. So the return date, no, the return should say if, oh, I think I'm supposed to do the calculation here, but I can do it in both ways. You can check again. So if A7 has a doesn't have a value, it's supposed to say no. Otherwise, it's supposed to say yes. Save. So I'll quickly recalculate that. Yeah, so that's correct. Hey. So if it's empty, it's supposed to say no. But why is it defaulting back to yes? Oh. No, yeah, I'm not supposed to do the formula here because the value comes from the other sheet. Okay. I'll quickly refresh that. Basic. So this is supposed to be no. What? Sorry guys. Not sure what is happening here. Oh. This is supposed to say no. Okay, yeah, there's something weird, but normally it should work correctly. I have done this more than one time, and I'm not sure why this is getting so confusing. Okay, so return no, and in my individual checkouts, no, sorry, in my items, I have a reference subtable that I have added to show each time these items have been checked out. So the coffee mug, I think, is not selected in uh, in the checkout. Yeah, the coffee mug isn't selected, but mug 1, mug 2, and radio are selected. So mug 1 has one instance, and the other ones all have one instance. Okay, mug 1, radio, and mug 2. Alright? Okay, so essentially this checked out is supposed to refer to this. So if the last one, I'm gonna have a hidden field here saying last returned, no, last checkout, which will essentially refer to the last field of the subtable as see if it's returned or not. Okay, and that should give me yes for this case, I think. Yes. So if this value is yes, this is gonna be no, and I'll do that formula in A3. So if D5, which is last checkout, equals to, so this is a string field and I'm supposed to write dot raw equals to yes, so it was returned, it is not checked out, so the result should be no, and otherwise yes. So let's see, if another value was no, it would say no and it's checked out. If I already returned it, it was returned, and the last checkout says yes and the checked out is no. Okay, so cancel this one, and right now this is working correctly, and the only thing I need to do is from the checkout sheet over here, I should be able to only check out the items that say no, and that works correctly as well. So the next thing we need to do is returned all, is to check if these were all yes. Formula, so the way I do this, I like to add a hidden field to say countif or sumif. They both work in this case. So count not returned, and this can be a numeric value, and I'll just write countif g7 dot raw equals to no. I think I'm writing this incorrectly. Let me just open a new documentation window. Hi viewer 21, I'm gonna answer your question in just a bit. We're trying to figure out something, and it's been like taking longer than we thought. So formulas. So this since the formatting is a little bit different, I kind of get them mixed a little bit sometimes, but I always refer to this. So countif. Oh right, I need to write. Wait, what? The word apple. So if the word no exists, I want to count it. So I want to count how many there are not returned in this checkout thing. So right, okay, so I need to count G7. So I don't need the raw thing because it refers to a string. G7, no, G7, right? Yeah. So I'm counting G7 to see if there are no's on G7. Apply this. Let's see. So there are 1 non-returned items. So this is not 0. Oh wait, if I select yes, it would probably, yeah, it should be 0. So that's correct too. So if this is not 0, I'm gonna say no to this one. And that's the last thing I need to do. So if f5 does not is larger than 0, then no. Otherwise, yes. Oh, this shouldn't have been so hard. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. And this should say no. There you go. And I can hide this field if I want to. I mean, it's still gonna be used in a formula. It's still gonna be calculated. It's a check that I added, but I don't want to see that field, so I'm gonna hide it. And there you go. That's done. So if I had returned it today, it's gonna say yes, and it's returned yes. And then I go back to my items, and what was that item, by the way? Refresh. That was the radio. So the radio is supposed to say no because it's not checked out anymore. There you go. I hope this answers your question, Charlie. I'm so sorry it took so long. But I think that one of the formulas are bugged, and I'm gonna like check that out later after this web conference. Oh, okay. I'm glad. Um, viewer 21. Yeah, sorry. I am recording this, so I will let you know. How am I gonna? Please PM me your message through here. So select my name through the drop down under the chat box and PM me your email address so that I can send the video link to you when this is done. All right. Viewer 21 has a question. Is he saying that is there any future like replace with to make changes to multiple entries? Yes, there is. We actually implemented this a few months ago. So let's say I want to change the mugs to become borrowed um, for 10 days instead of 5, okay? And I can filter the mugs over here first. So this only the feature for editing multiple entries. Oh, I also have coffee mug. Yeah, okay, all mugs can be borrowed for 10 days, alright? And I filter for all mugs. So this is only applied for the ones I filter into, so it won't apply to radio once I'm done. Okay, so I'm going to filter for the mug, and here under tools, you'll find mass update. No, not mass update. Edit multiple entries. Sorry about that. I have had a long day. Edit multiple entries. Ah, sorry. No, I was right. Tools, mass update, and then you can update the fields. Days that can be borrowed with 10. So you can do for this for multiple fields, even for fields that aren't currently visible on your listing page, because you can hide them if you want to. So I'm going to execute a mass update for these fields, for these records, sorry. Um, and it's saying it's done, but this dialog isn't saying anything, so I'll just refresh this. There you go. So you can always check what the system is doing from this little box over here that you can close as well. And that's it. Replacing. Hopefully that answers your question. So you can see it's not applied to the radio, which I had filtered out at that time. So again, tools, mass update, not edit multiple entries. Edit multiple entries is basically what I get when I click the hotkey E on the. Yes, we well, I can't really individually name them separately, but no, I don't think you can do that. Like, I can filter for all the mugs and then like change the item name to all bags, which would all give them like the name bags. So it's not the same as what you would do with a text editor. Yeah, that's actually a good suggestion. I will forward that. That's what you needed, really? Okay, but make sure that you know what you're doing, and yeah, so I can't really name them bag 1, bag 2, bag 3. But yeah, I can name them all to bags, but it's not very useful in this case. By the way, everyone can see the history. I mean, anyone who has access to your sheet should be, as an internal user, should be able to see all the things you have done. Like, for the mass update or the edit from the listing page options, I don't really see what was edited individually, but from modifications through the form page, I can see what was edited earlier. So that should be useful to keep history, and if you have a lot of users, you can see who did what in that sense with a timestamp, which is very useful in some cases. And you can see this is I think this is central time. Right now I'm in EST and it's 15:39. The history keeps, I think, the records in central time, so it's not your local time if you're not there. So that's something to take note of. Yeah, we can't really change that at the moment to everyone's local time because it's the server time basically, and the timestamps on your account setup and the database backup and restore is also in the system time, so that like you can ballpark like when it was done. All right, that's a useful note there. And any other questions, anyone? Charlie, don't forget to PM me your email address so that I can send you the video when I'm done. Alright, last chance to ask questions. We only have 20 minutes left. Or we can end this early if you have all asked all of your questions. I haven't heard from Gamer King. Sophia is my colleague and she's listening in. Hi Sophia. Viewer 1. Charlie, any other questions? John? No? I'll give you some time to write. Oh, okay. You are Charlie, you are currently sending me a PM, so you selected my name from underneath that menu at something something, so it says, yeah. Okay, just write your email and I'll send you the video when I'm done. Anyone else?
I have a
Sure.
question. Would the Ragic can connect it to another web service portal and by the FTP and upload all the information automatically?
Yes, you can do that with API, I believe. We do have an API guide, but you will need to do a little bit of programming in between. So you can get more information. I'll send you the link of our API guide over here.
Okay.
So you can do this with this method, but it's also if you're using another cloud app and it's on Zapier, we do have a Zapier integration as well, but maybe that's not your case. I'll still send the Zapier
Okay, thank you.
for other people. So we do have integration with Zapier, even though it's still under beta testing. You can have access by clicking this link, and the link I just sent you all. Alright, any other questions?
Thank you.
No problem. Alright, Gamer King 1997. Quick question. On our database we have set up, we have it made so each entry on a page can have 4 images added. However, the ability to add these images appears to not work anymore. What method were you using to add those images? I'm guessing it was in the image upload field? Or do you want to send get presenter rights? I can give you presenter rights if you want to share your screen with everyone. If not, then a little more description, please. Hello, Gamer King. Gamer King 1998. Not sure if you're there, but yeah. So I need a little bit more context on what you were using to add these images. If anyone else has any questions, please feel free to write in the chat box. If not, we're probably gonna wind down and end the webinar a little bit earlier than we planned. But I hope I was able to answer your questions properly. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Charlie, for the challenging questions. Yeah, I'm gonna send you, I think, a couple tutorials on this video. Hello, Gamer King, are you still there? I would really like a little bit more context so I can help you. I'll just type. I don't think he can hear me, by the way. Alright, it appears that Gamer King wasn't listening in to our audio, which is fine. We hopefully will answer this as well. Yeah, I can hear the beeps signifying that the audio, nobody's in the audio channel anymore. Where you before could double click and add images, you cannot do that in desired spaces. Um, I'm not sure. There's no way to double click and add images. Unless you're using an image upload field. I think what we can do is basically if it's a free text field,
You will now be placed into the conference.
okay, so let's try figuring out what the image upload field is. Okay, it was an image upload field. Mm. Okay, these issues are usually either a browser issue, or maybe if you have pop-up blockers, or maybe a pop-up blocker is preventing the select image finder or Windows Explorer window showing up. I checked both, and if you still have any issues, please email. Yeah, I think this might be the issue. Yeah, hopefully you can resolve this, and we can like have a look at some browser support if it's a browser issue. Any other questions, anyone? Okay, I think we're almost done. If anyone has any other questions, please write them now, or I will kind of end this webinar and kind of have a look to see if we can add a few more things for the next time. I'll just copy paste my entire chat log before I forget. We're joining. It was a pleasure working her. Please. Alright, everyone have a great day. I will be ending this webinar, and hopefully we can kind of answer other complicated questions in the future. Thank you. Bye.